What if I told you he wasn't the greatest? That sometimes it is a matter of life and death, and that no one can outrun the clock? That he was the only one that could overcome? What if I told you that getting over the rocky terrain was what he was meant to do? Greg was more than a robot. He was our robot.
Greg was born at the beginning of the semester, birthed from an idea and grown into the robot he was. From his humble beginnings in the lab of JNP room 1215 at the beginning of the spring semester, he has evolved into an extremely mediocre vehicle. His main success came from overcoming the many obstacles that he failed to navigate.
His initial motors were too small, and the 3D printed axles were weak, causing the axles and wheels to twist. So he went into mechanical therapy. No matter the therapy, he could not do it. His motors continued to stall out. Because of this, he got a transplant of 4 new motors for the love of the game, and that's when he became Greg. With disproportionate motors, chains becoming disfigured, and the constant stalling out on the sand, he would not move. This was very discouraging for him and his fans.
From this encounter, his staff had to look at alternatives so he could keep doing what he loved. By going back to the drawing board, his team iterated their design to create a 4-wheel drive system.
The best comparison I can make to 20-Point Greg is if you took the story of Rocky Balboa and multiplied it by 10.
From early on, Greg was disabled. He was poor, slow, and lacked fine motor skills. His rack and pinion was always freaking out. Not only did his main rack and pinion take forever to print on the 3D printer, but it caused many issues once built, as his servo motor would not respond to his brain. Along with his winch servo, they would struggle to respond to basic commands from his brain.
Greg learned that just because something looks the same, has the same info, but is much cheaper than the main brand, does not mean it's quality. I think these issues mainly arose from the fact that at the beginning of the project, we were basically speaking in different languages.
We were all that Greg had, and it made us as a team realize that this whole thing was bigger than ourselves. It was about Greg.
We were able to come together and be a team in order to cheer him on and complete the mission he was ready to complete. This is where he became 20-Point Greg.
Greg has taught us so much about failure, because he is a failure. Because we love Greg, and so does the world. Greg is an inspiration because every time he came across an obstacle, like his disfigured motors and chains, his cheap and weak servos, and his broken mission equipment, he learned to navigate his issues and try his best.
Greg would have wanted other future robot stars to work, so here's a few tips to make sure your robot succeeds. Keep things proportional. Greg was very heavy and needed large motors, so make sure what you get for your robot is proportional to its size. Make sure you show love to your robot. Greg has high quality and very strong spirit, so you have to make sure that your robot gets the highest quality parts he deserves. Make sure you have strong leadership. You have to avoid fighting as a team and strive for better communication. Make sure your design is simple. Greg's design was very complex at the beginning, and once we simplified it down, it seemed to work. Make sure your robot's design is simple because it's going to make it easier for you in the long run. To quote Babe Ruth from the movie The Sandlot, heroes live forever, but legends never die. 20-Point Greg became a legend to that ENES 100 room. He wasn't just a robot, he was a symbol of teamwork, hard work, and determination. Even in death, a piece of him lives within all of us. Even though 20 points sounds a bit rocky, it was what he was meant to do.
The best comparison I can make to 20-Point Greg is if you took the story of
Greg would have wanted future robot stars to work. Damn it.
Don't leave me. Don't leave me. I'm a single father.
You're a single father
Greg.
to who?
No.
Greg has taught us so much about failure, because he is a failure.
Did it stop? No. It didn't stop.
But it activated, and that is the first step. Greg?
I did name him Greg.
He is not a Greg.
He's a Greg. If I know a Greg.